Yeah, how's everybody doing? We're finna get ready to get this show started. As you can see, we are gonna give my quick 53-man prediction of who I believe will make this football team and who might not make this football team. So stay tuned. The Tiger True 53-man prediction starts now. Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome in to Titans and Truth. This is a impromptu episode that I've brought out for you as I give my quick predictions of who I believe will make the 53-man roster and who could end up possibly on the practice squad. And so I'm glad everybody is here. I am Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. We're going to have a very wonderful episode. And before we do anything any further, make sure y'all share this out. And I want to definitely say I want to give a big thank you to everybody. And more will come later as Titans of Truth has hit over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys very much. And let's get on the road to 2,000. So again, make sure y'all share this show out to everybody, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Smash that like button. And thank y'all again for letting me get to 1,000. And let's get on the road to 2,000. Let's make a new journey. So I thank everybody for all that you've done. But let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is my 53-man roster projections of who I think will make this team and who may not make this team. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into that. We did have some news about another player getting added to COVID-19, that being Nate Davis, our starting right guard. So we have quite a few people already on the list that's not good, but hopefully this will not last long and they get their negative test and we'll be able to get off of that COVID list. I mean, we still have a little under 2 weeks remaining before our first game. So again, a lot of good things can happen in result of that. So right now, about 11 people are remaining in protocol. Not happy about that, but we're going to we'll definitely make it work and make sure that we have the guys ready to go. But with that being said, also, I forgot to mention, check out your Titans of Truth merch. We got t-shirts available. And on Wednesday night, I am going to be doing a random giveaway to a subscriber of the show, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. I think I'm going to give away one for Facebook and one for Instagram. So since we have reached 1,000, I will be just picking a random subscriber and that person will get a new Titans and Truth t-shirt. And also, I will pick somebody on Facebook as well. That person will get a Titans and Truth shirt just for being a subscriber. So definitely make sure you tune in for that. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. If you want to buy a Titans and Truth shirt, please do. You can hit Miss Latoya Mason or on Facebook. She is, and I'll put this information out there. She is also known on Facebook as Miss Latoya Everett, Miss Latoya Yvette Ikinyemi. And I'll put that information out on Facebook. And you can look under my pages as well. I'll have her information on there. But you can contact her by email at queenbutterflytees@gmail.com or on Instagram, which is at queenbutterflytees. Also, if you need to, if you want to reach me and want to buy a shirt, I can get to her on that. You can also reach me on any of my platforms, the TNT Enforcers page on Instagram or on Twitter, as you see scrolling at the bottom of the page. Or you can email me at Newell, CANEWELL 817 at gmail.com if you want to order a t-shirt. Also, we have the Titans and Truth hat as well. That it's a prototype. I wanted to see if y'all like it or not. And if you do, I could definitely hook that up with my guy at out the cribs on Instagram. So you could definitely check that out. As you can see, I have that hat on right here. So if you like that, if you like the shirt that's being worn, you could definitely check that out. And the information is on the back. You could definitely check with that. So let's get right down to the nitty gritty. And I'm going to start on the defensive side of the ball first, because I felt like that was a little bit easier of a side to work with. So I have, this is my full 53-man roster. This is who I think will make the team. And there are a couple of asterisks by a couple of names, and I'll explain those in a minute. But we'll start at the cornerback position. I have 6. I have the Titans keeping 6 corners, and I have it being Jackrabbit Jenkins, Christian Fulton, Caleb Farley, Elijah Bowden, Breon Borders, and Chris Jackson. And then, of course, and the specialists, we'll get that out the way too. Sam Ficken, Brett Kern, Morgan Cox. Ficken basically won the job, and of course, because Tucker McCann got injured on that field goal that would have been good from 47, and he was looking good in the game, but got hurt, and Ficken basically took over. He hasn't really missed a kick at all in the preseason games, period. And, Brett Kern, our usual punter, and Morgan Cox. So that was easy. At the cornerback position, again, this was pretty easy as well. I thought about Brian Body Calhoun possibly making this list. And I really thought about having him on there. But, I mean, Chris Jackson was looking like he was going to be the starter. I mean, he's hurt right now, so that could open the door for Body Calhoun. But I think Chris Jackson has a little bit more experience with the team. And, coming back from injury, he did have a pretty decent camp. Breon Borders, I think, is very solid. I think he's a lot more solid than people give him credit for. Elijah Bowden. Now, Chris Jackson was looking like he was going to be the starting nickel corner, but Elijah Bowden has just showed up in the last couple of games and has pretty much taken that spot from him. So I think Elijah Bowden is going to be starting week 1 in the nickel slot, in the slot corner. Caleb Farley, showed a few good things, but then it was some rust for him. He hasn't really played a game of football in almost 2 years. So he's rusty. He's knocking off the rust, trying to get into game, trying to get up to game speed. But I think as the year goes on, I think he will get better and better. He has to drive. I definitely think he has to drive. He has to have athleticism. He has the speed. He just has to get up to speed. And then the starters, of course, will be Jackrabbit Jenkins and Christian Fulton. Jackrabbit got his first action on Saturday, and Christian Fulton's been solid all camp. So I think Jackrabbit and Fulton will be the starters. Bowden will be in the slot. And you will see some Caleb Farley shifting in to the lineup throughout the first few games until he's ready to be a full-time starter. So that's what I have so far at corner. At safety, Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker, they're the starters. Pretty much that was easy. It was behind them where I had some trouble because they were decimated by injury at that position. Tedrick Thompson, was signed. He gets hurt in the Atlanta game, out for the year. Then Dane Cruikshank, who I believe is in very serious jeopardy of not making his football team, has been injured. Hence why I have Matthias Farley and Bradley McDougald making the team. And I just have McDougal, because, I mean, he showed up a little bit against Tampa Bay, maybe didn't do so well against Chicago, but those guys can help on special teams, McDougal and Farley. So that's why and Matthias Farley looks like he could show that he could maybe do a little bit of what Amani Hooker did last year and being that third corner. So that third safety, that might also make Crookshank expendable. So that was what I was kind of looking at there. But safety was a little bit difficult because of the injuries behind Hooker and Byard. Outside linebacker, I have Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, Rashard Weaver, Derek Roberson, and Ola Adeniyi. Now, if y'all looked at Upload Show, before I went on Upload Show, I had John Simon making this football team. But that was before we find out that John Simon was cut. And Vrabel had a press conference. And the way he was sounding, talking about the cutting of John Simon, but it sounded like he talked a lot about him. And it could be where, once they get through the cuts, they may come around to him being back. Because remember, if you're on the roster before week 1, I want to say if you're on the roster on week 1, your salary is guaranteed for the rest of the season. If you're on the roster week 1, your salary is guaranteed for the season. After week 1, after that week 1 game, anybody that's brought in, their salary is not guaranteed. So that might be what they're waiting on. Get through the first game, then they bring John Simon back. So that might be where Mike Vrabel is going. Mike Vrabel and John Robinson might be going for that, but they better hope that John Simon doesn't get picked up by somebody else. That's the only reason I have Derek Roberson on this team, and it's kind of by default. Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, they're the starters, and I think both of them would do well. This is a contract year for Landry, and he might want to be careful because Rashard Weaver is breathing down his neck a little. But, of course, Rashard Weaver has the legal issues that he has to deal with upcoming in October. So we'll have to see how that goes as well. But I think Weaver's on the team. And Ola Adeniyi, we thought was only going to be in as a special teams guy. He's really showed something as a pass rusher over the last 2 games. He has a sack and a half. He had half a sack in the Bears game, and I believe he had a sack, I want to say, in the Tampa Bay game as well. But he has shown he could put pressure on the quarterback, so he could be a hidden gem of sorts. So that's something that I liked with that. Defensive line, I have Big Jeff, Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Laurel Murchison, Tier Tart, and I threw in Anthony Rush. This was kind of tough because I had a tough time with the defensive line. If I knew if I was going to keep 4, only do 5, which 5th guy I was going to have. I've heard a lot of good things about Anthony Rush in camp. He just came off of the COVID list, so he's eligible to be on the 53. And so I think what Tier Tart can bring, he could also line up as a defensive tackle as well. So that could spell Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry. And that's what I was thinking about. Who can spare Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry some? And I think Murchison and Tart can fit the bill, and Anthony Rush, being over 360 pounds, can fit right there in the middle and be a space eater. And then an inside linebacker, I originally had 4 with Evans, Brown, Long, Monty Rice. I have Dzubnar as the 5th inside linebacker, and he was basically my very last guy on the 53. And when I talk about the offensive side, I will explain what I mean by that in just a bit. But those are my 5 guys on the other side with Evans, Brown, David Long, Monty Rice, Nick Dzubnar. That's the defensive side of the ball when it comes to making this roster, which I believe gives me 28. So there's 28 guys on the team so far. So in your comments, let me know what you think of the defensive side. Did I get it right? Did y'all have the same? Did y'all have the same guys on defense as I did? Did you have it a little differently? Let me know in the comment section there. Going to the offensive side of the ball. Oops, hold on. Going to the offensive side of the ball, it was a little bit more challenging for me at certain positions. Quarterback, we started quarterback, and as you saw on my main cover, I have the backup quarterbacks with Logan Woodside and Matt Barkley. With that being said, at quarterback, I got Ryan Tannehill, and I'm going with Logan Woodside. And this is why I'm going with Woodside as opposed to Barkley. Last time I did say that I thought Matt Barkley, it was his job to lose. But I've started to learn that every time I say it's somebody's job to lose, or I think they're the heavy favorite, it's almost like a kiss of death. Because every time I do that, that person ends up stinking. And in the Bears game, even though both guys threw an interception, Matt Barkley looked worse than Logan Woodside. Logan Woodside is your typical check down Charlie. Yes, he threw an interception, but he was more affected by the pass rush and just a backup tackle that's not even going to be on his team, which I believe was DeLauro. I want to say that might have been on that side. I can't remember who was the tackle on that side, but they're not going to make the team anyway. And the pass rush kind of affected that throw, which led to that interception that Logan Woodside threw. So it wasn't really all his fault. The pick that Matt Barkley threw was totally on him. It was a terrible pick at a bad time, and he damn near threw a second one later on in the game. So you could tell Matt Barkley was a little tight. He was a little tight, maybe was worried about Woodside a bit, and, was trying to win the job. And he ended up losing it, in my opinion. So, and I think Vrabel kept saying in the press conference, it's about trust. It's about trust. They obviously trust Logan Woodside to run this offense and make the safe throw and not make mistakes. Because that's one thing a head coach hates is a turnover. And Logan Woodside is less of a risk of turning the ball over than Matt Barkley. So I think Woodside won the job Saturday because Matt Barkley lost the job on Saturday. So that's what I thought about that. And running back, easy with Derrick Henry. Darrington Evans by default, even though he's hurt. And really for Darrington Evans, this is his last opportunity because he was injury-riddled all of last year, and now he's being injury-riddled right now. Hasn't practiced since the Atlanta game. And so I think he's in a bit of trouble too. Not necessarily this year, but next year, I think he's going to be definitely on the bubble because I have Mekhi Sargent making it. Sargent has been consistent. He's ran hard. He's been effective. And, he still has a little bit of work to do in pass protection, but he has shown he could do it. So I have some faith in Mekhi Sargent being at least the third back. And then Kari Blasingame is the fourth. Sorry for the mispronunciation of his name, but Blasingame is the fourth. Then you have at tight end, Anthony Firkser, Jeff Swain, and I went with Tommy Hudson over Luke Stocker. Yes, Luke Stocker is experienced in his offense. He has familiarity, but I really do think they want to try to go with the young guy, and I think they really are impressed with Tommy Hudson, although he did have a bad penalty on Saturday night, so I could see them going with Stocker. I don't think they'll go with Forstall. I think Forstall could possibly go on the practice squad. But I think it's Firkser, Swain, Hudson, and they may keep 4 and add in a Luke Stocker. Jared Pinkney, I think, could be destined for the practice squad, if at all. We'll definitely see about that. On the offensive line, it's pretty easy. Lawan Saffo, Jones, Davis, Sambrilo. Kendall Lamb, Dylan Radunz, David Quesenberry, Aaron Brewer. And I think Brewer, he could play center or guard. Dylan Radunz, they've put him in at center. They put him in, they put him in at tackle. They put him in at guard. He's versatile. He can play all 5 positions and things like that. So he's very versatile. I want him to play tackle, but for some reason they really want him to play guard at times too. So that will be something. But I think this is a pretty solid offensive line. It's just the other guys that were behind them really sucked, if you ask me. Then at wide receiver, and this was probably the most difficult position I had to go for. And it was very, very hard. But this is what I went with. Obviously, your obvious choice is A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and because he was a free agent signing, Josh Reynolds. I think Chester Rogers, he's done nothing but earn his way onto this team. He will be our team. He will get some snaps at wide receiver. He will also be the punt returner. Marcus Johnson is an interesting name because I think if you had roster cuts at the beginning of training camp, Marcus Johnson makes this team easily. But I'm not ready. Brown, Jones, Reynolds, and Rodgers, I believe, are locks. They are locks to make this team. Marcus Johnson is not as much of a lock to me as he was maybe about 3 weeks ago. At that time, 3 weeks ago, I would think he was a lock. He's not so much a lock to me right now, and mainly because he hasn't practiced in a few weeks. He hasn't practiced in about a week or so. He hasn't really played in many of the preseason games. He had a catch in the Chicago game, but then went out with some type of injury. And Upload said it on his show I was on. Marcus Johnson tends to have an injury history, which is not good. So Marcus Johnson is definitely on a little bit of the bubble. I think he still makes the team, but it's not guaranteed to me because, he has done well in camp, done well in practice. He's basically one of these guys we fall in love with at practice, but then when the game shows up, does absolutely nothing. Then Dez Fitzpatrick, and the reason why I got Dez Fitzpatrick and Nick Westbrook-Akina in different colors with asterisks is simply because Dez Fitzpatrick, I just don't think is good enough to make this 53, but the only reason he's making the 53 is because of where he was drafted. Plain and simple. If he was maybe late 5th round or later, I could see him getting cut. Plain and simple. Because those picks are like, you know what, we're just taking gambles. We don't know if these guys are really going to do anything or not, and they're not guaranteed. But I think because of Dez Fitzpatrick, we traded up for him, even though they picked him over guys I think could be better over Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tylan Wallace, and why they did not take Amari Rodgers when they had the chance. And I said it on Upload show. Dez Fitzpatrick by the end of the year better be showing a little bit better than those 3 guys. If he doesn't show as better as Amari Rodgers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Tylan Wallace, I will go off at the end of the year being like, Dez Fitzpatrick is a bust. And he's leaning in that direction. Nick Westbrook-Akina, I really had a difficult time. Because I'll be honest with all of you, it was for me between Mason Kinsey and Nick Westbrook-Akina for that last spot. It was extremely, extremely difficult to choose between the two. And the reason why I went with Nick Westbrook-Akina is because not only can he give you more on special teams, as a gunner on the punt team or on the kickoff team or on kick coverage, he could do a little bit as a receiver. He's gotten better as a receiver from what I've been seeing in camp and things like that. Mason Kinsey does do a lot as a receiver, but can he be a gunner on special team? Can he be on the punt team? Can he be on the kickoff team? I don't know. So again, I said with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he could play some receiver, help on special teams as a gunner. Kinsey can play the slot, has great hands, could be a returner, but they really didn't give him much of an opportunity to really return punts to see if he could do it. So that's why I kind of went with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine over Mason Kinsey. I know Titan Upload. I know that breaks his heart. I know it does. And I know that Titan Upload will hate that. But that's just kind of how I see it, unfortunately. I want me, and I said this on his show, and I'll say it again. And I want y'all to see me when I say this. Mason Kinsey, more than anybody else, deserves to be on this football team. He absolutely, out of everybody that's fighting for a roster spot, deserves to be on this football team. But I think Nick Westbrook-Ikhine offers just a little bit more than him. Hate it, but I think it's kind of true. So that's why. And again, with this, I was trying to really fight if I was going to keep 6 or 7. And I was trying to see with me keeping 7 and I have only 3 tight ends, that left me an extra spot available, which is why Nick DeZubnar made the team in my prediction. Because if I kept 4 tight ends and added Luke Stocker, DeZubnar's not on this team. If I didn't have, let's say, a 5th outside linebacker, DeZubnar doesn't make this team. Or if I kept it to 6 receivers, I may have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine off as well. Or Des Fitzpatrick. One of them would have been off if I kept it at 6. So that's why I kind of had some difficulty. I had an extra spot left. I gave it to DeZubnar because DeZubnar, he could play special teams and could also play a little bit on defense. So that was my thoughts on that, and that's my entire 53. So, again, give me your thoughts. Leave in your comments your thoughts on my 53. Did I get it right? Did I get it right? Did I suck? Did I do it all wrong? Give me your thoughts on my 53-man roster in the comments section. And let me know what you think. But last but not least, the last part of it that I have is the guys that I think that could end up on the practice squad. Again, I have no idea who would get on the practice squad, and I don't have all 16 spots. I'm just thinking off the top of my head who I think will get on there. And that would be a Matt Barkley, because I think with the COVID list, I think all 3 quarterbacks will be on there. And then once Tannehill comes off the COVID list, one of either Woodside or Barkley will be cut, which I think it'll be Barkley. And I think once the initial waivers pass, Barkley could get back on the practice squad. Racing McMath, Mason Kinsey, I think Naquan Jones could be on the practice squad. Cole Barnwart, the backup center from Iowa. Body Calhoun, I think, could be on the practice squad. Brady Breeze, our 6th-round safety. Woodrow Hamilton, Javian Hawkins, the running back that we just signed. Torrey Carter, the fullback. He could possibly be like another tight end or H-back. Miller Forstall is a possibility as well. But those are just some ideas of guys that could make the practice squad. And a couple of these guys, like a Barkley or a Kinsey or a Naquan Jones or somebody, or Body Calhoun, could initially be on the roster because of the COVID, because The 9 guys or so that are on COVID do not count on the 53. So in actuality, the Titans could keep up to 62 guys. And then once those guys start to come off the COVID list, then yes, you got to cut some people. So that's basically the rule with that. But these are just guys that I think that end up ultimately on the practice squad. So that is my 53-man roster. That is those are the guys that I think could make the cut and the guys that I think will end up on the practice squad. So again, give me your thoughts. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know what you think. And once again, I just truly want to say, make sure you share this page. Thank you again for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You will not regret it. I promise you on that. So on Wednesday, we will talk about the 53-man roster, the guys that actually made the roster. We'll give thoughts on who made it. We'll give thoughts on who got cut as well. And also, we are going to celebrate 1,000. So I want all of y'all to come in, and it's a fan appreciation night with that. So I just want to give thanks to all of you. That's what Wednesday will be about. So please do come join me on Wednesday and join the show. And I'm going to get on out of here. And I thank y'all for tuning into the show. I am Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer. And we are going to tighten up because y'all know in the end, that's all we know how to do. Y'all have a good one, and y'all make sure y'all subscribe.